There was a beauty shop on Central Avenue that changed women's lives between 1969 and 1991. Not because it gave the best perms or the sharpest press and curls, though Miss Lorraine could do both better than anyone in the city, but because when you sat down in her chair, something happened that had nothing to do with hair. You walked in carrying the weight of the world, and you walked out standing a little taller, feeling a little lighter, believing at least for a few days that you were beautiful, capable, and worthy of every good thing. Miss Lorraine's House of Beauty. The sign hung above the door in pink cursive letters, outlined in gold, a little faded by the late 80s, but still catching the light just right in the afternoon sun. The shop sat between a dry cleaner and a record store, in a strip of black-owned businesses that had survived the riots, the recession, and everything else the world threw at them. You could find the shop by sound before you even saw it. Walk down Central Avenue on a Saturday morning and you'd hear it, women's voices rising and falling, punctuated by bursts of laughter so loud and free it stopped people on the sidewalk. Somebody's radio playing WDAS, switching between the Temptations and Gladys Knight and whoever else was blessing the airwaves. That day, the hum of hair dryers, the sizzle of a hot comb meeting hair grease, and underneath it all, Miss Lorraine's voice, smooth as cocoa butter, steady as Sunday morning, asking the same question she asked every woman who walked through that door. How you doing today? Baby, I mean really doing. She meant it. That was the thing about Miss Lorraine. Other stylists asked how you were doing while they were already sectioning your hair. Their minds on the next appointment. Miss Lorraine would stop, put down her comb, look you in the eye, and wait for the real answer. Most women lied the first time. I'm fine, just tired. Everything's good. Can't complain. But Miss Lorraine had a way of seeing through it. She'd nod, smile that knowing smile, and say, MMMHMM. Well, you just let me know if you want to talk about it. By the time she finished your hair, 2 hours, sometimes 3. Depending on what you needed done, you'd told her everything. The husband who was running around, the boss who didn't respect you, the kids who were worrying you, the mother who was sick, the bills that were piling up, the dreams you'd put on hold so long you'd almost forgotten you had them. Miss Lorraine listened to it all, never judged, never interrupted with her own stories or opinions unless you asked, just listened, her hands moving through your hair with the kind of gentle confidence that made you feel safe. Hair holds a lot, she'd say sometimes, working her fingers into your scalp. All that tension you carrying around, it goes straight to your head. That's why you got to let it out. Can't be walking around with all that weight on you. The shop itself was modest but immaculate. 6 stations, each with a chrome chair that swiveled and pumped up and down. Mirrors lined one wall, framed in pink. The other wall was covered in photos Miss Lorraine with customers over the years. Some of them famous, most of them not. There was a small waiting area with plastic chairs and a table covered in magazines, Jet, Ebony, Essence, Right On. Their covers curled from being read so many times. A small kitchenette in the back had a coffee maker that was always on. A refrigerator stocked with sodas and snacks, and a hot plate where Miss Lorraine sometimes warmed up whatever she'd cooked the night before. The smell of hair products mixed with coffee mixed with whatever was heating up in back created a scent that every woman who went there would recognize for the rest of her life. Miss Lorraine was a small woman, no more than 5'2", with hands that seemed too delicate for the work they did. She kept her own hair in a short, elegant style that she changed every few months, a pixie cut one season. Finger waves the necks, always perfectly done, always setting the standard for what she could do for you. She dressed simply but well. Slacks and blouses in solid colors, comfortable shoes for standing all day. Always a gold chain around her neck with a small cross that had belonged to her grandmother. Her nails were always done. She did them herself on Sunday nights, sitting in front of the television, a ritual she'd kept since she was a teenager. She'd opened the shop in 1969, the year she turned 32. Before that, she'd worked in other people's shops for 15 years, learning the trade, saving her money, dreaming of something that was hers. Her husband at the time they divorced in 1974 told her she was crazy. Black woman trying to run a business in this neighborhood. You're gonna lose everything we got. She did it anyway. Took every penny she'd saved, borrowed what she could from family, signed a lease that terrified her, and opened her doors on a Tuesday morning in March. Her first customer was her sister. Her second was a woman who'd followed her from the shop where she used to work. "I don't care where you go," the woman said, settling into Miss Lorraine's chair. "You're the only one I trust with my hair." Word spread. Within 6 months, the appointment book was full. Within a year, she had to bring in another stylist to help. Within 2 years, she'd paid off her startup loans and was making more money than she'd ever made in her life. But it was never about the money for Miss Lorraine. It was about the women. She understood something that took others a lifetime to learn. For Black women in America, hair was never just hair. It was identity. It was politics. It was armor. It was expression. It was a conversation with yourself about who you were and who you wanted to be. Every woman who sat in Miss Lorraine's chair was making a statement, whether she knew it or not. The working mother who needed something quick and professional because she had a job interview Monday morning. The teenage girl getting her hair done for prom, trembling with excitement and nerves. The grandmother who'd worn the same style for 40 years and wasn't about to change now. The young woman going natural for the first time, scared but determined to embrace what grew from her own head. Miss Lorraine honored every one of them. She never pushed her own opinions about what someone should do with their hair. If you wanted a relaxer, she gave you a relaxer. If you wanted to go natural, she helped you transition. If you wanted cornrows or an afro or a jerry curl or a press and curl that would last through humidity and rain, she made it happen. Your hair, your choice, she'd say. "I'm just here to make you feel beautiful." And she did. Lord, she did. There was a transformation that happened in that chair. Women would walk in with their shoulders hunched, their eyes down, wearing their exhaustion like a coat they couldn't take off. 3 hours later, they'd walk out different. Head high, shoulders back, a little swing in their step, looking at their reflection in the shop window and actually smiling at what they saw. It wasn't just the hair, it was everything. The conversation, the laughter, the feeling of being seen and heard and cared for. The community of women around you, all of them going through their own things, all of them supporting each other through it. Because that's what the shop was, really. Not just a place to get your hair done. It was a sanctuary, a gathering place, a church without a steeple, where the only sermon was the shared experience of being a Black woman in a world that didn't always make that easy. The regulars came every week, whether they needed their hair touched up or not. They came to sit in the waiting area, drink coffee, flip through magazines, and talk. They came to catch up on neighborhood news, to share recipes, to vent about their husbands and children and jobs. They came because Miss Lorraine's was the one place where they didn't have to pretend to be anything other than what they were. "Leave your mask at the door," Miss Lorraine would say. "Ain't nobody in here you got to impress." The conversations that happened in that shop could fill 1,000 books. Women talking about everything: love and loss, ambition and disappointment, faith and doubt, children and parents, money and dreams. The kind of conversations women only have with other women, in spaces where they feel safe. Miss Lorraine heard secrets that would go to her grave. She heard confessions, fears, hopes, regrets. She heard women admit things they'd never told anyone, not their husbands, not their mothers, not their best friends. Something about sitting in that chair, facing away from the mirror, feeling those gentle hands in your hair, made it possible to say the unsayable. And Miss Lorraine always knew what to do with what she heard. Sometimes she offered advice, but only when asked. Sometimes she just listened, letting the woman talk until she'd emptied herself out. Sometimes she told a story from her own life, a way of saying "I understand" without actually saying it. Sometimes she'd start humming an old gospel song, usually. "His Eyes on the Sparrow" was her favorite. She'd hum it soft and low, almost under her breath, and somehow it would make everything feel a little more bearable. The shop had its own rhythms, its own seasons. In the winter, business slowed down. Women bundled up, hats covering their hair, less concerned about style than warmth. Miss Lorraine used those quiet months to deep clean the shop, take a vacation, recharge. Spring brought the first rush, women shaking off winter, wanting something new, something fresh. Easter was one of the busiest times of the year. Every woman wanted to look her best for church. which meant appointments booked solid from Thursday to Saturday. Summer had its own demands. Humidity was the enemy, and Miss Lorraine knew every trick for making styles last through the sweat and heat. Cookouts and family reunions meant new clients, women visiting from out of town who'd heard about the shop and wanted to see what all the fuss was about. Fall was wedding season, and homecoming season and back-to-school season all rolled into one. Teenagers getting ready for school dances, brides getting ready for the biggest day of their lives, mothers getting ready to face another year of juggling work and children and everything in between. Miss Lorraine met every season with the same steady presence. She was there when her clients got engaged, helping them plan their wedding hair months in advance. She was there when their babies were born, cooing over photographs and sometimes babysitting in the back room, while a new mother got her first post-pregnancy style. She was there when marriages fell apart, when parents passed away, when children disappointed, when life got harder than anyone should have to bear. That's what we do, she'd say simply. We show up for each other. She showed up even when it was hard, even when her own life was falling apart. The divorce in '74, her mother's death in '79, the cancer scare in '83 that turned out to be benign but terrified her for 3 weeks. She never closed the shop for her own problems, never brought her personal pain to work, at least not in a way that burdened her clients. They come here to feel better, she'd explain, not to worry about me. But her regulars could always tell when something was wrong, and they'd show up for her the same way she showed up for them, bringing food, staying late to keep her company, praying with her in the back room when no clients could hear. The love flowed both ways in that shop. It had to. Some of the women who came through Miss Lorraine's doors became famous. Local news anchors, politicians, singers who made it big. They'd come back when they were in town, sit in the same chair they'd sat in when they were nobody, and catch up like old friends. Miss Lorraine treated them exactly the same as everyone else. No special treatment, no fawning over their success. Fame don't make your hair any different, she'd say with a laugh. Still got the same head you walked in here with 20 years ago. Most of her clients weren't famous though. They were teachers and nurses and secretaries and housewives. They were grandmothers and teenagers. They were women working 2 jobs to keep the lights on, and women who didn't need to work, but came to the shop anyway because it was the only place they felt truly seen. Miss Lorraine remembered every one of them, not just their names, their histories, their children's names, what style they liked, what they'd told her last time they were in. She had a mind like a filing cabinet, storing away details that she'd retrieve months or years later. How's your daughter doing at Howard? She'd ask a woman who hadn't mentioned it in 6 months. Did your husband ever get that promotion he was hoping for? The women were always stunned that she remembered, but Miss Lorraine paid attention. It was part of the gift. By the mid-1980s, the shop had become an institution. 3 generations of women came through those doors, grandmothers who'd been clients since the beginning, their daughters, their granddaughters, wedding parties, graduation groups, mother-daughter appointments that became traditions, passed down like recipes or prayers. The neighborhood was changing around them. Some of the other businesses on Central Avenue had closed. The record store went first, then the dry cleaner. New people were moving in different faces, different needs. The city was talking about revitalization, which everyone knew was code for something that might not include them. But Miss Lorraine stayed, through the changes, through the uncertainty, through the years when it seemed like everything Black people had built was being torn down or taken away. The pink sign stayed lit, the appointment book stayed full. The laughter kept flowing out the door and onto the sidewalk, stopping strangers who wondered what could possibly be so funny, so joyful, in a world that seemed to be falling apart. Then came the diagnosis. In early 1990, Miss Lorraine started feeling tired in a way that sleep couldn't fix. She ignored it at first. She was 63 years old. She'd earned a little tiredness, but the fatigue got worse. Then came the weight loss, then the pain, pancreatic cancer, stage 3 by the time they found it. The doctors gave her 6 months. She lasted 14, because Miss Lorraine was never much for doing what she was told. She kept working as long as she could. Not full days anymore, her body wouldn't allow it, but a few appointments a week. The women who'd been with her the longest, The ones who needed her most. Word spread through the neighborhood. Women who hadn't been to the shop in years came back, not for their hair, just to see her, to sit with her, to thank her for everything she'd done for them over 22 years. "You changed my life," one woman told her, tears running down her face. "I was nobody when I walked in here. You made me believe I was somebody." Miss Lorraine just smiled that knowing smile. "Baby, you were always somebody. I just helped you see it." She closed the shop for good in November 1990. A small ceremony. Her most loyal clients, her children and grandchildren. A few words, a few tears, and then she handed the keys to her niece, who'd been working alongside her for 10 years. "Keep it going if you can," Miss Lorraine said. "These women need a place to go." Her niece tried. She kept the shop open for another 8 months, using the same name, the same pink chairs, the same techniques she'd learned from her aunt, but it wasn't the same. The magic that Miss Lorraine brought couldn't be inherited or taught. It was something in her, a grace, a presence, a gift for making women feel beautiful from the inside out. Miss Lorraine died in February 1991, surrounded by family, at peace with everything she'd done and everyone she'd loved. The funeral was packed. Women came from across the city, across the state, from as far away as California. They wore their Sunday best. Many of them wore their hair in styles Miss Lorraine had taught them to maintain themselves. They cried together, laughed together, told stories about the woman who had touched their lives in that little shop on Central Avenue. Her niece closed the shop for good a few months later. She couldn't keep it going without her aunt's spirit. The space sat empty for a while, then became a cell phone store, then a check cashing place. Today it's a laundromat. The pink sign is long gone. There's nothing to mark what happened there, but the women remember. They're older now, grandmothers themselves, many of them. Some have passed on, but talk to any woman who spent time in Miss Lorraine's chair and watch her face change. Watch her eyes go soft. Watch her hands go to her hair, maybe touching it unconsciously, remembering. They'll tell you about the smell of the shop hair products and coffee and something warm in the back. They'll tell you about the laughter that seemed to never stop. They'll tell you about the conversations that happened there, the secrets shared, the burdens lifted. And they'll tell you about Miss Lorraine, her small hands, her knowing smile, the way she'd look at you, really look at you and see everything you were trying to hide, the way she'd make you feel like the most important person in the world. Even if she had 10 other appointments that day, she made me feel beautiful, they'll say, and their voices will crack. Not just my hair, all of me. She made me feel like I mattered. That's what was lost when Miss Lorraine's closed. Not just a beauty shop, a sanctuary, a gathering place, a space where Black women could be fully themselves, without apology, without armor, without the exhausting work of navigating a world that didn't always see their beauty or value. We have beauty shops now, plenty of them, fancier ones, with modern equipment and trendy styles and Instagram accounts showing off their work. But something's different, something's missing. Maybe it's the community. In the age of smartphones and earbuds, people don't talk in waiting rooms the way they used to. They scroll, they text, they exist in their own bubbles, even when they're surrounded by other people. Maybe it's the time. Everything moves faster now. Quick appointments, efficiency, in and out. No time to sit and talk for 3 hours while someone does your hair with the kind of care. That can't be rushed. Maybe it's just that there aren't many Miss Lorraines left. People who have the gift not just for hair, but for making people feel seen. People who understand that beauty isn't just about what you look like. It's about how you feel about yourself. And that feeling has to come from the inside out. Miss Lorraine understood that. Every single day for 22 years, she practiced it. She made women feel beautiful, not by changing how they looked, but by helping them see what was already there. "You were always somebody," she'd say. "I just helped you see it." That's her legacy. Not the hairstyles, those faded and changed and went out of fashion, but the feeling, the knowledge that she'd planted in thousands of women over 2 decades. The belief that they were beautiful, capable, worthy, that lives on. In the women who sat in her chair, in their daughters and granddaughters, in the way they carry themselves, the way they see themselves, the way they know deep down, where it matters that they are somebody. You can't go back to Miss Lorraine's house of beauty. The shop is gone, Miss Lorraine is gone. That whole era of beauty shops as community centers, as sanctuaries, as churches without steeples, is fading into memory. But you can remember what she taught. You can practice it yourself. See people, really see them. Ask how they're doing and wait for the real answer. Listen without judgment. Make the people in your life feel like they matter because they do. Be a Miss Lorraine for somebody. You don't need a beauty shop. You just need eyes that see, ears that hear, and a heart that understands. Everyone is carrying something. Everyone needs a place to put it down. Everyone needs someone to tell them they're beautiful, capable, worthy. Everyone needs to hear, you were always somebody. I just helped you see it. That's what Miss Lorraine gave, and that's what we can give too, if we're willing. One conversation at a time. One moment of truly seeing someone. One small act of helping someone believe in themselves. That's how we keep Miss Lorraine's legacy alive. Not in a building, not in a business. In how we treat each other. And how we make each other feel. In the simple, revolutionary act of telling another person and meaning it that they are beautiful, inside and out. That's what Miss Lorraine knew. That's what she practiced every day for 22 years. And that's what the world still needs, maybe now more than ever.